It's my very great pleasure to invite Charles Baynie from the Real Success Group here today. And most of you will know who Charles is because Charles has been in the industry for over 30 years. I've personally known Charles for more than 25 years. I don't know what he did the first 5, probably not much. But when I was a franchisee, Charles used to come and assist me in that business. And that's primarily what Charles does, is he works with business owners and sales agents to be as successful as possible in the most realistic way imaginable. There's no nonsense with Charles. He cuts straight to the chase. He tells you what you need to know, and agents and business owners need that. So it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to Charles Baynie.
Thank you, Paul.
Charles.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here.
You're welcome, Charles. Look, I'm going to get straight into it today. I want to get as much value from you as possible in the shortest amount of time. So tell our listeners today, please, Charles, what are the greatest opportunities for business owners in 22?
In 2021 was a very interesting year. It's something I've never experienced as a coach, and I had to adjust what I did in many ways as well. The main thing that changed was real estate processes. Yes, of course, the market was extraordinary with the growth we had of prices and volumes, but certainly the processes that agents adopted in 2021 will be obviously very important that they're maintained and grown in 2022. Little things like, obviously with principals, making sure they spend a lot more time with salespeople. I've noticed in the last few months, a lot of my leaders are spending more one-on-one time with their teams, and that's important. Because change of behaviour is a big thing, Paul. So when the salesperson was used to doing things in a way where you're able to do face-to-face auctions or face-to-face, that all changed. So principals leading the way, knowing what to do and how to do it with salespeople in 2022 is going to be very crucial.
So a bit more nurturing from the principals to the agents. All
Absolutely.
Right. So that's business owners. What about your advice directly to agents?
So more than ever, I've always coached the 3 most important ingredients in real estate agents. Number 1 is having incredible knowledge. When you go to a seller in 2022 versus, 1992, sellers know everything. So real estate knowledge is very important. What's selling, what's on the market, what your forecast is, because sellers are going to say, should I wait, should I sell now, etc. So knowledge is crucial. The second most important ingredient is relationship. If you can't build a relationship and keep one in real estate, you shouldn't be in it. It's that simple. So the agents who can build a relationship, maintain that relationship with value will succeed. And I hate to say this, the third most important ingredient is perception of success. Being able to market yourself with your brand as the most successful agent and leader in that marketplace. And agents are doing that quite well, of course, as you've noticed, through the technology platforms like social media, digital platforms where they use their CRM to market themselves. But certainly that's a big thing because print is dying as far as, remember the old days we used to focus on the local print? Yeah. That's dying. So agents are using other ways in a very clever way to market themselves. So the 3 most important ingredients in 2022 are that knowledge, being able to build a relationship and keep it, and maintaining that perception of success.
So Charles, I just heard you say an agent's perception of success in the marketplace. Now, for an agent that's already riding the wave of success, that's probably fairly straightforward, but for an agent that's battling their way up through the ranks, how do they do that?
So Paul's asked a good question. How does an agent who just started in the industry goes from where they are now to that important 250, 300 sort of milestone? Most importantly, the first thing is they've got to make sure they've got a very good real estate process. What I mean by that is the way they market the property, engage the audience, negotiate, they've got to have a very good process. And if they don't have a good process, they're going to fail. So knowing to understand how to market it, once you market it, how to engage the audience and negotiate. Whether it's private treaty auction makes no difference. But that agent needs to believe they've got the best process. That's number one. To market yourself, it was a good question, is obviously the team you're working for has been successful. So you leverage the team results.
Right,
it's very important. So, and that's where the businesses I coach that work as a team, not individuals, grow. I'm not going to give you specific examples. I think that's unfair. But certainly the businesses I coach that have had longevity.
You need to engage your services to learn that secret.
Well, yeah. But look, there's no doubt that I've got a number of, look, without bragging, I've been known to recruit salespeople in the industry to go from 0 to 600,000 quite regularly. That's something I do well. To get to that million's easy, but getting to that 0 to 3, then 600 is the difficult journey. Being able to work with a team and leverage your skill set and your processes with that team, using them is crucial, particularly in 2022, because you don't have the same exposure in print as you once did. So you're relying on digital.
Yep, social media, all that sort of thing. Yep. Because I know you actually work internationally as well as Australia. You've got a lot of clients in the US and other places as well. So how has COVID changed the real estate world?
Wow, has it ever? So we had 2 major lockdowns in the last 18 months. The second lockdown really made a massive difference to the way we, I guess, sold real estate. I mean, technology has played an incredible part. Without technology, a number of transactions just wouldn't have happened. When I say technology, I'm talking about the virtual tours with buyers. So, there's you obviously heard about the lifestyle markets. The lifestyle markets, whether it be the coast, inland, Southern Highlands, Queensland, wherever it was, lifestyle markets grew incredibly, and that had a lot to do with the virtual process of buying real estate. So you're able to buy a property virtually, exchange contracts virtually, without even seeing the property or meeting anyone face to face. So what's happened is people's behaviour and agent behaviour has really changed, and these are forever. So at the moment, I'm doing what's called dual auctions. So I've got a big auction night tomorrow night that's in rooms, for argument's sake, where there's going to be a crowd of people there, subject to COVID restrictions, and also people on Zoom in the screen. So we'll be taking bids from the crowd online. That was never done before. So we've changed behaviour in both buyers and sellers. So it's quite extraordinary. And this year, I believe, is really going to show the agents that really embraced all this technology who are going to succeed.
I know COVID's affected people in very different ways as well. And people in general, a lot of them have struggled. This is sort of a left field question. We didn't talk about this, and it just occurred to me. People, agents are people that are struggling to sort of, manage the changes, to manage their emotional state, just to manage making enough money for their family and all the rest of it. Any advice for them?
Everyone's different. Something I've noticed in my time as a coach, particularly in the last 2 years, is certain people you thought who they were. COVID really changed them. It really sort of made it interesting. So I had to change the way I spoke to them, my patience, because they were struggling with it. They were struggling not just for work, but for home. People were dealing with the whole vaccination thing, and there's people with different opinions, and you have to respect that. So you saw a lot of different types of personalities really change. And I noticed that as a coach, and that's why I said earlier with principals that had to really give people time, patience, and understand that what they're going through behind the scenes isn't necessarily reality at work. My personality sometimes just brushes that.
Right.
And that's just who I am. Unfortunately, that's just who I am.
You've always been the guy to get on with it.
Sometimes I can't read it, and it's interesting. I make it real. So I coach obviously up the North Coast as well, and an agent that pulled me up about 2 months ago. He said, "Charles, do you know what? I don't want to write $1 million. I don't need to. I'm happy. I moved up here because I'm happy writing 300. It's the lifestyle I've chosen.
Right.
So there's
fair enough.
And that's something I've learned as a coach over the years. Not everyone is in real estate to get to that level that everyone else wants to. So it's something I've learned as a coach, and what COVID's done to me as a coach has really made me understand that in people.
I aligned to that thinking as well, because when I was with the groups, and I was a franchisee and Charles would come into my office and say, you need 3 more salespeople, you need this, you need that. I go, I don't want that. And to which point he'd strangle me. But that was your job, wasn't it?
I've changed.
No, but that was your job
It was.
to get all the members of it to do what
grow
they wanted
Yep.
with your business. So to identify what people want rather than what they, being the head office, is a very important point.
Very much so.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and again, this year is going to really show the principles, leadership skills, when it comes to understanding how to deal with every salesperson at different levels. Not just the high achievers, but the next generation coming through. It's not about age group, it's about that next generation of real estate agents coming through.
Okay, that's great. Now, before we wrap up, I personally think that the market's going to change this year. We've come out of the back of growth that we have never experienced in our lives. We've got interest rate changes, we've got elections, we've got all sorts of elements and factors coming up that are going to change the landscape. There's no doubt about that. When, we don't know, but it will. So what are your survival tips for business owners and agents when things change?
So I noticed towards the end of last year that the market did change. And that, you know, and everything I say is based on fact. Auction clearance rates from October to December changed.
Yeah.
Now they were at 90%, then they went to 80%, then they went to the 70s. So there's no doubt that real estate did change towards the end of the year. And there's an old saying, and I often quote this saying, the market changes before we do. So some of the agents I coached didn't see that coming. And there seemed to be, particularly towards the end of the year, last year, there was a gap of about 5 to 8% from where the sellers were and where buyers were.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that. In 2022, it's very hard to forecast what's going to happen because good properties, and I don't know how to define what a good property is, are selling well still. There's 3 key factors, in my opinion, that determine markets. One is obviously the cost of living. And from what I saw towards the end of last year, and these are documented stats, that building costs have gone up incredibly. The cost of living, whether it be groceries, whether it be buying a car, etc., has all gone up.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
So that's going to have an effect on what's called inflation.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see when they bring out the balance of payments this year after Christmas spending, what that's going to look like. And on the back of that, traditionally interest rates do go up. It's simple. I mean, you look at the stats. Between 2017 to October 2021, there was no discussions about rates going up at all. All of a sudden, the Reserve Bank says, you know what? Sorry, the Commonwealth Bank says, you know what? We're going to increase our fixed rates. So that sort of changed things. But certainly, so the key factors are inflation, interest rates, and the big unknown for me is population.
Yeah.
Australia still is considered to be very underpopulated.
Yep.
Once they've fully engage the I guess the borders and let people come here, that's going to be a lot of money. So all that strong immigration we had between 2009 and 17, their families are going to follow, which is fair enough to buy here.
Yep.
So I do think that
More
immigration's going to play a factor in
demand,
it,
yeah.
but I can't forecast how much. So certainly I believe 2022 is going to be pretty flatline, and there's still going to be some very good sales. However, I can't pick it. And yet I coach pretty well every market up and down the Australian Eastern Seaboard, and including the US. So I coach in the West Coast of America. I coach the Sotheby's and Coldwell Banker brand. And even I had a 2-hour Zoom call with them this morning, and you can't pick that market over because they've had the same growth we've had in real estate as well.
I agree with you. I don't think anyone can predict what's ahead of us. And that's why, Charles, with our group at One Agency, I say to them, we don't know what's ahead of us. No one does. You've just said that, and you're as experienced as anyone I know. So brace yourself for change. Make sure your businesses are sustainable, most important, and that means you've got your costs under control, and then engage a good coach with his feet firmly on the ground to tell you how to deal with what's happening right now and how to get ahead. Any last comment,
And I know,
Charles?
Paul, this isn't about a plug. I know that. And I know this was about discussing real estate in a general term. But I just want to say I did meet you when you first came up with the One Agency model. It was quite revolutionary back then. No one really thought about building a brand, let alone a business around agents who could run their own business pretty well on their own with all the tools and resources you had to offer them. I just want to say there were a lot of doubters in the early days. And I'm talking back when you first started. I did know you quite well then. There were a lot of doubters. I just want to say you've been very resilient, whether it was the GFC, the changes in lots of legislation, etc. You've been resilient with your brand. You've been very consistent and very loyal. So I just want to say congratulations what you've done with one agency. On the back of what you've pioneered, there's been a lot of other groups follow you.
True.
And I still don't believe they're at your level. So mate, well done to you and your team.
Thank you, Charles.
As I said, I just thought I'd say that because I have
didn't
watched,
pay him.
I know, I have watched Paul's journey and I do believe this guy has made a massive change to real estate when it comes to his model and dealing with that one agency type person. So well done.
Thank you, Charles, and thanks for joining us today.
No worries. Thank you very
I
much.
hope you all got something from it.
Yeah.
I certainly did.
Great. Thank you.